Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game here on this Tuesday morning, Veterans Day here around the United States. Number 187 here on this November the 11th, alongside my broadcast partner and host here, Mr. Nathan Wangler. I'm Jonathan Turner, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And Nathan, it's Veterans Day, and our salute to those veterans out there who had, they did not pay the ultimate price. All right, obviously we celebrate Memorial Day every single year as well, but this is for anyone that's served in uniform and had that call to take action to put on a uniform here in this country and defend our freedoms.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they paid the ultimate price. I mean, the truth is like it takes a level of selflessness in order to make that decision and to join the military. I mean, to be on call like that. I mean, if it ends up hitting the fan or something goes wrong, like they're the first people that are going to respond to that. They're the first ones that are going to be in the line of fire. And you have to be willing to make that choice. You know, when you go into the military, you go in understanding what the risks are and understanding where our world is. And it's not even necessarily what happens. You know, I'm not even talking about war. I mean, even things that are going on here, riots and protests. And I remember when I tried to get into the military once upon a time too, you know, when I left Central Michigan after my freshman year, and obviously, you know, one thing led to another. I didn't end up getting in, you know, spinal issues, but, you know, I remember I wanted to be military police, and that was right around the same time as like George Floyd and everything that was happening there. And so, you know, these people, in order to even put yourself in that position, it has to be a very selfless decision. You have to be willing to put other people's needs and priorities and the country itself ahead of yours. Because I'm sure a lot of these people had things they wanted to do in their personal life, but they put that aside with the understanding that, you know, that they were going to go out and serve. And a lot of them did pay the sacrifice, and a lot of them are still dealing with the scars that they had from wartime now. And that's why, you know, when we talk about mental health and everything, you know, a veteran, you know, commits suicide once every minute, I think, in the United States, which is just it's absolutely mind-boggling. So it's an extremely important day, and I come from a family that has a lot of veterans too. You know, my Uncle Greg was Air Force. My grandpa Ben was Army, and so I have a lot of family who served as well. My uncle. Another one of my uncles was a Marine. So these were decisions that they made, and they understood up front. Yeah, it's going to help them out. It's going to make them more disciplined. It's going to make them better people. But in the long run, they're doing it because they want to be there to serve us, and they are there to serve us every day. So very grateful for everyone who has consciously made that decision, because it's a very hard decision. It's a very selfless thing to do. But you guys are the reason why we still have a free society.
Absolutely. I did choose to wear my salute to service from the Lions. I don't know if the U.S. men's national team does anything like that, or U.S. soccer does. I'd have to look. But yeah, so I wore that today. I actually get one every year for the Lions. Kind of like a thing I do. Get the hat, get the hoodie, and maybe even a T-shirt if they have it. So try to do that every year. But yeah, it is Tuesday. It's number 187. We got some things to talk about here today. Yesterday on the show, we talked about, you know, the all the champions, crowned champions from around the country being, you know, and we're going to continue to update those on our website. There's so many to start to put in there. We're doing that each and every hour, it seems like now. But the brackets were announced yesterday at 4 o'clock Eastern. We're going to dive into that here and take a look at some of these matchups. We'll put that up on your screen here throughout the show here this morning. I know, hey, there's some other things that we want to get into here this morning as well. Ryan, what is on tap here for today's show?
We have a U.S. men's national team conspiracy, and then Just a couple of other things. If we get to them, not a big deal. We can always use them throughout the other shows this week. But that is the main one that we will get to, and then a couple other U.S. men's national team related stories.
Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere. We come back here from our first break. We'll dive into the brackets. We'll dive into the Women's College Cup and so much more. Don't go anywhere. 187 continues this morning.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back here on this Tuesday morning, Veterans Day here. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And, we're going to dive into these brackets and talk about the NCAA tournament here this morning. We talked about it, obviously, again, yesterday and kind of leading up to what could happen. The road to College Cup is upon us, right? And these games will kick off here starting this Friday, the first round. But let's get into this. Ryan, let's take a look here. So I kind of broke this up into 4 sections because there's 64 teams, 16 teams kind of in each kind of section. Not like college basketball where you're like east, west, north, south, right? You typically, but here it's just all on one side. You got 32 teams. On the other side, you got 32. There's real no breakup as far as like what side of the country they're on. But either way, let's take a look at this. Again, things get underway here starting Friday. Ryan, go ahead and put up this first bracket up on your screen now. There it is. TCU is actually in another bracket. We should see at the top, I believe. I'm trying to get looking at the graphic as a whole here. Hang on one second. I'll just pull another one in. There we go. Notre Dame. So Notre Dame is that number 1 seed there at the top there. They'll play UIC in their first matchup. Ohio State versus Georgia. Georgia's number 8 seed. Baylor, a 5 seed, playing against Texas Tech. Western Michigan, who won the MAC, playing Wisconsin in that 4 seed. Florida State will play Samford. You've got Lipscomb playing Mississippi State. West Virginia playing number 7. Wagner playing Wagner. And then Sacred Heart and Georgetown will match up there in that first round here coming up this weekend. Taking a look at the other side, you've got Duke against Elon. Now, I'm not familiar with Elon, other than Musk, but are they playing Elon Musk? Maybe that might be an actual close
Elon
game.
probably would upset them then. They have all the technology in the world and the money.
That's right. You got Maine versus UCF at the number 7 seed. Louisville versus Kentucky. Louisville at that 6 seed. California Baptist against Kansas. Washington versus Montana. Dartmouth versus Arkansas at the 5 seed. Penn State against Army West Point at the 8 seed. And then High Point versus Virginia. Virginia, the number 1 seed. And then we look there at Stanford. Stanford, another number 1 seed. They're taking on Cal Poly. Northwestern against Alabama at the 8 seed. BYU at the 5 seed taking on Utah State. Pepperdine versus UCLA at the 4 seed. Colorado, the 3 seed versus Utah Valley. Dayton versus Xavier at the 6 seed. Wake Forest against South Carolina. Again, Wake Forest at that 7 seed. Then Milwaukee and Michigan State. Again, Milwaukee winning their 8th consecutive Horizon League championship here earlier this week. And then, you've got Michigan State, who fell short to Washington in the Big Ten championship. And then on the final side, we've got the TCU at the top there. There it is, TCU at that 2 seed. Grambling, they'll play Illinois versus 7 seed Memphis. Texas Tech, the 6 seed versus UTSA. North Carolina, who won it all last year, will take on number 3 Tennessee, who again was really making some history here this season. They were the first time ever in school history they were ranked in the top 5. They finished out the season in the top rankings as well. Tennessee at that 3 seed. LSU, a 4 seed against Houston Christian. South Dakota State versus Iowa at the 5 seed. Clemson at the 8 seed versus Liberty. And then you've got Tennessee Tech and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, the other 1 seed as well.
Yeah,
so, that's a look at the bracket.
It's so funny, too, when you look at that North Carolina-Tennessee matchup, especially with, you talked about the school history for Tennessee and being into the top 5 for the first time in school history, taking on the reigning champs in North Carolina. That almost, to me, doesn't feel like a round 1 matchup. That doesn't feel real. It feels like that should be the one that happens like 2 rounds later. I've been very impressed with what I've seen out of Tennessee this year. Obviously, North Carolina's created a standard, and we've seen that. And obviously, they've operated in that same space again this year. But that round 1 matchup, I kind of feel bad because I don't think either side really deserves to bow out in the first round, but someone has to lose in this situation. But I also have a vested interest in just seeing what Western Michigan can do. The tough thing about being the mid-majors is, and it's a little bit different in soccer, and we saw this in the men's game, obviously with Vermont making it all the way to the championship and winning it last year on the men's side. But sometimes I feel like over in the women's game, there's – I would say less parity, but like the bigger schools typically do well in the women's game versus in the men's game. I feel like sometimes there's more of an uneven, there's more shaky ground, at least when it comes to tournament play. So it's a little bit more predictable in that way when it comes to the women's side of the coin. But I think Lewis Robinson's story has been unbelievable. And I didn't even mention this during our interview with him once upon a time, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing it, but he's an Aquinas guy. He was at Aquinas before obviously climbing his way all the way up to Western Michigan, and now seeing what he's doing with them and back-to-backs, and he has all the momentum in the world back behind him. But as a mid-major, again, this is where it can get tough. You can be great during your regular season and handle everybody inside the Mid-American Conference, and it's a tough conference, but how do you handle the likes of the big schools when you finally go toe-to-toe with them? So I'm really interested to see how Western can take this, because I think it's been a great year for them. But yeah, North Carolina, Tennessee, if I had to earmark one matchup in this first round that I'm on full alert for, it seems like that one is going to decide a lot.
It will. And again, does Michigan State and just does the Michigan schools, do they have a chance here to maybe make some noise? I would argue Michigan State has a good fighting chance. The interesting one for me, you mentioned Western Michigan, and again they're in that. They're look at where they are on this. Here they go. They're on the left side of this bracket. They're playing Wisconsin, and that's going to be a tough challenge, right? If Western Michigan could get out of that game, they would have to go and face the winner of the Baylor-Texas State game, and so they would have a very tough route to get there, right? And then ultimately, they'd have to go on and take on the winner of the Notre Dame, Ohio State, matchup. So they have a really tough road. But if you look at Michigan State though against Milwaukee, Michigan State would take on Milwaukee. They win that game. They go on and take the winner of Wake Forest, South Carolina. Remember, Wake Forest made it all the way to the final last year. Mm-hmm. And so both these teams in Michigan are going to have to face off some tough opponents. And so now Milwaukee, same thing. They would have to, do some things pretty magical in order to get pretty far. But but the likes of that. Then again, the Michigan State's the number 2 seed, so number 2 seed is going to play maybe a little easier path, but they'd face the number 7 seed right away. They win that game. So
well, and I'll be interested to see what Wisconsin learned from their last matchup too, because it's really hard to beat a team twice, especially when you handle business as easily as they did the first time around. And that's a 6-0 final when they faced Wisconsin for the first time this year in regular season play. And mind you, the Badgers were, I think, 7-3-1 going into that matchup. So they had 3 goals in the first, they had 3 goals in the second. think Emerson Sargent had a hat trick. No, actually just had 2 goals, but they had, I think, 4 different goal scorers in that game against Wisconsin. So, like, did the Badgers take anything away from that matchup? Like, that's the second time around is not nearly going to be as easy as the first time around. So what does that present in terms of challenges for Michigan State? Because I think it's really hard, especially when you get into like playoff time, having to go up against someone who's in your own conference, just simply because there is that level of familiarity with the team that you're facing off against. So if anything, I think it's kind of an unlucky draw for Michigan State, because it's like this team's already seen us. Like, they have the scouting report, they have the film, right? They're going to understand a little bit better on how to attack us. Now, from a talent perspective, Michigan State, I think, is far and away better than what Wisconsin is. But don't underestimate the value of having tape and having a better understanding of the as Green Day once said, do you know your enemy? And I think Wisconsin understands who their enemy is and what they need to potentially do to win this matchup. So that might be a sleeper matchup. That's a good one on your end.
We are gonna also do some previewing of the Division 2 and 3 as well. We will do that throughout the rest of the week. Those also were announced yesterday as well, and so it's just about getting it all in here and trying to
What
manage.
about the NAIA?
What about NAIA?
What about? Are we gonna preview it or what?
We absolutely can. I don't
man,
know if we don't have a
go.
9-hour show. I mean, we're gonna have to pick our battles. But again, we haven't even talked MLS playoffs, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening in the playoff land.
Shout out Davenport, who upset Parkside in the GLIAC tournament last night. So Bo Hud, my guy in goal out of the UK. That's well done, boys.
Well, there you go, Davenport.
Well done,
well,
boys.
For the sake of time, let's move on here. And I know we want to talk some U.S. men's national team. Some conspiracies is my understanding. So let's talk some conspiracies. Why not? Why not do conspiracies on Veterans Day?
But yeah, there's apparently, according to some people, there is a little conspiracy going on in terms of the Tillmans. Pochettino accidentally called up the wrong Tillman. Pochettino thought that he called up Malik Tillman for this upcoming November camp. Instead, he called up his brother Timothy Tillman yesterday. Timothy Tillman plays for LAFC. Malik plays for Bayer Leverkusen, as we know. Do you guys think there's anything in this, or do you just think it's a fake rumor?
I actually want to see how this would show up. Could you just imagine, like, wrong player shows up? Hey, who are you? Into camp. Like, who are you? Why are you?
It's
here?
like Marcus and Markieff Morris back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't know how you'd have the wrong. First off, you would think that if you're going to be inviting somebody over the phone, that might be one part of this. But I would imagine in 2025. Emails are going out, which are completely different. You've got flights happening. You got to get flight information. I mean, it's one thing to make the wrong phone call, but you can't invite a player to come into camp. They have to get airline tickets and transportation. I mean, they probably all have agents. I just find it hard to believe that, like, the phone rings, like, oh, wrong Tillman. You're welcome in. Here we go. It seems odd to me that this would even be a thing, but is there any truth to this at all? Do we even know?
No, it's just a rumor that's been going around. That's why I asked you if you thought it was fake or if it was
fake
true.
As hell.
Yeah, if anything, someone has to be able to. Someone has to double check the list, right? Like, Mauricio Pochettino is not just in, like, his office, like, writing out on a piece of, like, scratch paper who he wants, and then he, like, passes it off. But I mean, if that's the case, trust me, I've seen some chicken scratch in broadcasting soccer games before, and I think JT can second this when he sent me rosters or a time or two. I'm like, what exactly is this? I don't know what I'm reading right now. It's someone's name, but I don't know what these letters are. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he wrote out a rough draft and handed it to someone, and someone's like, oh, he wants a little Timmy Tillman this time around, not Malik Tillman. We're trying out someone new. So I think that's hilarious. Or maybe he just wrote down the last name and it was a clerical error. I have no idea. I don't think it's real. I think this is false. I do think it's hilarious, though, because I don't know. I mean, it's probably easy to get brothers mixed up. And the truth is that he kind of looks like Malik a little bit. I mean, I know they're brothers, but they do look kind of similar, but obviously clearly not the not the same person. So if this is true, I wish USA Soccer would just come out and admit it, because then we could all get a good laugh out of it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. I figure there's a big formal process when it comes to calling players up and making sure that you get the right players in the right spots. So I can't imagine that this is actually a true story. But I don't know, Ryan, what do you think?
Well, it's funny though, because I'm looking at this on Twitter, and Tactical Manager TV is the one that I think, is this where we got this? Is breaking news from them?
There was someone else, but I did see his tweet. It was from someone else though.
Sources tell me that Pochettino called up Tim Tillman on accident. The U.S. men's national coach thought he was calling up Malik Tillman. He wasn't aware there were two.
Could you imagine being him though, walking into camp and just being like, "Oh no, we meant your brother." Sorry.
Yeah.
Yo,
And then he goes,
you
"Okay,
rascal."
my source lied at 8:12 p.m. last night." So my
Also, we're talking about nothing. All right. Cool.
again, is it possible that you text the wrong person, which
That could
again would be strange if you didn't know the other one existed, right? I mean, that would be, how would you have that number? All right, so I guess that.
There's
would be
another one.
Wait, their numbers are off by one
There's
digit.
two.
It ends in 5-8, not
need
5-7. Oops. It's like, yeah. Again, that's where you lost me. Is like, I didn't know he existed, but somehow I called him anyways. Like, hey, secretary, call Tillman. Wrong one. I googled the wrong one. Poach.
Well, what if they sound exactly alike too? Like, that would be really hard. Like, he picks up the phone, sounds just like him. Like, hey, yeah, come on down. Oh no, whoops, sorry, I meant your brother. Meant your brother. Sorry.
It's funny. To be fair, it's kind of, I mean, it is funny in the sense that in 2025. Now, could this have happened in 1978? Absolutely.
Yeah. Call up the home phone. Wrong
hop on the
person
train.
answers,
Get on the train. Let's go. Cross country on the train. Yep, I'll get there, coach. Eventually.
Call up the old landline. Someone pretends to be someone they're not. Just like that. 1, 2, 3. All of a sudden, Timmy shows up. So,
does this kind of fall into the same? Because after we talked about this whole Saudi Arabia Sky Stadium, there are a lot of people like that. This is fake. It's not going to happen. And to be fair, I think that the amount of engineering that would go into making that thing a reality would never work. And so I'm going to lean more towards 95% chance of never happening. Does this kind of fall into the same kind of because we put that out there, talked about it last week, and now here we're talking about something like that. Should we have a conspiracy section of our show where we just start talking about stuff that's out there in Twitter land? And
yeah, there's lots of stuff. I can find it, and I see it every day on my phone.
It? Yeah, no, I'm cool with it. What's my favorite conspiracy? Trying to think. A lot of good sports conspiracies out there. I don't know.
The Astros. It's probably the Astros. It's baseball. It's gotta be the Astros, right?
Yeah.
Or Connor Stallings. I mean, Nate was Connor before Connor.
I was ran out of a small town. That is true. I think Michael Jordan's retirement is a good conspiracy.
Oh yeah, because he was gambling, and Stern was David Stern was yeah, you got to retire for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My wife seems to think that the whole us landing on the moon is a conspiracy. So
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I have enough brain power right now to even focus on that kind of stuff. Because I'm focused on the things that are happening right now in front of me.
Competing with the USSR, man, they just wanted to be first.
3-Eye Atlas, this whole comet coming.
Yeah,
from
wasn't that
space.
supposed to hit us a month ago? No,
it's supposed to pass by the sun, and then we were get better images of it. And who knows, man? Everyone seems to think this thing is some alien spaceship from deep space. I don't. Again, if it is, great. I guess we're really willing to accept anybody. So let's come on in.
What about
welcome in?
would a curse be considered a conspiracy? Mac Check, by the way, says good morning. Good morning to you too, Mac Check.
Wait. Marco Matovsky, goalkeeper for Detroit United this weekend, hopped in the Instagram going, Messi meeting with Infantino before the 2022 World Cup conspiracy.
Okay.
That's one I haven't heard.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. Did you? Also, by the way, because I don't like Cristiano Ronaldo. Just this little thing. He recently went on an interview, and someone put the two together, where before 2022, the 2022 World Cup, he's like, yeah, you have to win the World Cup. That's what, makes a good player. Like, that's what divides the good ones from the great ones. Like, I have to win it. Then recently he's like, the World Cup should not define me as a player. Like, I've done so much good in the world. I've done so much good in the world, and in my whole career, the World Cup should not define me. I'd like to win it, but it shouldn't define me. Like, dude, just because Messi won it and you didn't, and Messi is the greatest soccer player of all time. I mean,
but to be fair though, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Dan Marino, him not winning a Super Bowl absolutely defines him.
Yeah, I'm not.
Right?
I'm disagreeing with Ronaldo. Like,
right?
you have, like, what's the point of sports if you don't win it?
Well, again, we always say this: if you're not winning the last game of the season, you're still a loser, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, that not to be disingenuous or disrespectful, but that's the case. When you don't win the final game of the season, you're unhappy, and so every year in the NFL, there's 31 unhappy teams, right? And so, it just that's how it is. And Dan Marino, I mean, he went to the Super Bowl. I mean, Jim Kelly went to the Super Bowl. They went to it 5 times in a row.
4 times straight. Wow, that's bad.
That would be a really interesting conversation to have. Like, the greatest athletes who never won a championship. Because I find an issue with that in our current culture, like this climate that, like, you have to have titles in order to be considered like one of the greatest of all time. Like, Adam Morrison sat on the bench for the Lakers and won a title with Kobe. Adam Morrison is probably one of the worst NBA players of all time, but he has a title. You want to know who doesn't have a title? Charles Barkley, the big mound of rebound, who was like one of the best during his time in the end. That was his nickname. Dude was a boss.
I know, it's just the way you said it, though. I sorry.
But he doesn't have one, I mean, there's a lot of greats that don't have titles. I don't like that mentality in American sports that, if you don't have a championship, you're not one of the
No,
like,
I don't. But again, if we do measure success in a lot of different ways, but the most important one is the one where you're hoisting a trophy. And I mean, there are many players who have been in their own right one of the best players in their time period that have not had that chance. And to be fair, John Elway was one of those quarterbacks. Peyton Manning was one of those quarterbacks for a minute, right? He didn't have a championship for a bit, and then he ended up getting 2, one with the Colts and then one with the Broncos. But John Elway was like his last 2 years, and that he finally got it. I mean, there was a chance that he wouldn't win them. Yeah, and so I do feel like you've got players all around. I mean, what was it? The manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm drawing a blank right now on who the manager is, but maybe a hitting coach who'd been like never been to a World Series ever, and he'd been part of like.
Oh yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on who the.
Do
you know who it is?
Let me ask you this. Oh, their hitting coach?
Yeah, it was someone. I mean, it was a player, but he'd never been to a World Series ever, and first time with the Blue Jays, obviously in year 1.
A player or a coach?
He was a coach. Yeah, he's a coach now, and I'm just trying to blank on his name.
Oh, yeah. Don Mattingly.
Is it Don Mattingly?
Yeah, never been to a World Series in his career as player, coach, or manager until the 25 season. Yeah. And Mattingly, I mean, he's been around in the game for decades and decades. So, yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you how hard it is. But, like, let me ask you this, JT. Like, who is better? Who would you take to lead your team? Like, Dan Marino or Eli Manning?
Oof.
Yeah, the two. Now I'm talking Eli in his prime.
Huh?
I'm talking Eli in his prime, not like Eli.
Well, Eli's got 2, right?
End of the line, Eli.
He does
Eli
have
has
2.
2.
Yeah, well, I guess there's something to be said though about. I think it's different in quarterback land than it is in like guard or forward land in basketball, right? I mean, like you point guard is like your quarterback, but I mean, let's be honest, you need a couple other players. I think Dan Marino, why didn't he win one? Is it because he was on a bad team? He was on bad teams all the time, right? I mean, so I don't know. I feel like it's different. Like quarterback means something, and Eli Manning for some reason he was never the same level as Dan Marino. Found a way to win.
Helmet catch.
Finding ways to win, luck or not.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Kelly, you could just blame it on their kicker. I mean, that's bad kicking. It's like what 2 out of 4 of them were like just kick it left, not even close. I mean, so But to answer your question, if 9 out of 10 times I want Dan Marino, but that one
That's
time,
what I'm saying.
that one time though, I want Eli Manning because Eli would win it for you.
A couple.
Yeah, that's fair.
Couple chats, couple comments from the TikTok chat. Mike Jack says, Dan Marino is my go-to example for failed careers. He then goes, titles don't make you great, but no titles stop you from being great.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that though. I mean, I don't know if it stops you from being great. I think it might prevent you from being in a conversation with other greats. You know, I think that might be something. I don't think it stops you from being great. Because, again, if we look at this and say, okay, Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You've got Joe Montana. You've got Steve Young. You've got Tom Brady. You've got Brett Favre, right? You put all these in there and say, okay, well, who's the better one? If you just base off stats, who's better? Well, Tom Brady's got a shit ton of Super Bowls. You know, I mean, is he the greatest? You know, Joe Montana, you know, is he the greatest? He's got 3 or 4. I mean, like, you start asking these questions. And while stats there alone, but what's the separator? The separator's got to be a championship, right? If you're putting them together, if Tom Brady and Dan Marino were like, boom, with stats, what would put someone ahead of the other? It would be what they did, you know, championship-wise. I would imagine.
How is that a failed career, though?
I wouldn't say
that's
failed career. I don't think I wouldn't use that
he's
word.
in the Hall of Fame, man. I don't like. I mean, I guess if we're talking about championships, but
I think Matt Jack grew up in Miami and then moved to Minnesota. That's I think what happened. That's the only that makes sense.
At least you got JJ McCarthy, dude.
Huh?
At least you got JJ McCarthy, man. Like you're doing all right. I can't lose in Michigan.
I'll tell you that. Look good against us. I'll tell you that.
I do think that when and again it's for us in these environments, I'm sure Dan Marino would love to have a championship, but
question.
I'm sure he would love to hear us talking him up. You know, hey, those guys on inside
those guys
the
at the inside the game are talking about my career.
Question for you too. Question for you too. Would you rather start your franchise? Would you rather have on this? How do I want to say it? Yeah, who would you rather start your franchise off with? Jared Goff or Matt Stafford? Who would you rather start with? Because there's an easy answer.
You say start
start your franchise off with Stafford or Jared Goff, and let's just say the Lions started off with Stafford, but they actually did something with it. Like they had Brad Holmes after Stafford was drafted.
Yeah, I mean,
there's an easy answer.
You said this is an easy answer?
Yeah, it's Stafford.
Yeah, it's Stafford.
Interesting. Okay, take Calvin Johnson out of the equation. See, early in his career, you're talking about the both like right now at their current levels.
No. You start your franchise off because how did you word the Eli Manning and Dan Marino question?
I mean, if you were just to have a quarterback that you would want to start your franchise, be your franchise quarterback, who would you want, Dan Marino or Eli Manning?
Who would you want? Yeah. Who would you want it to be, Stafford?
But
Goff?
He told me Eli Manning in his prime. Right, that's what you said, right?
Yeah, Eli Manning.
I'm just saying that if you're telling me if they're both coming out as rookies, I still think I lean towards Matt Stafford. But Matt Stafford also happened to have one of the greatest receivers ever in Calvin Johnson. He could just throw balls to. I mean, you don't have Calvin Johnson on that team. Matt Stafford's not going to have.
He didn't have anything else though.
Huh?
He had nothing else.
He had no running back, no offensive line.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying. Well, he did not have
Eric
nothing else.
My bad. He had Eric Ebron.
He had some players around him towards the end of it. But my point is that I don't know if it separates them if you take out Calvin Johnson out of the equation. That's all I'm saying. I just in their career. Well, and keep in mind that Jared Goff did lead in the early stage of his career. Did lead the Rams to a Super Bowl appearance.
And then Stafford won a Super Bowl with that same Rams team.
and then again, no, I'm not disputing that. But again, that was a more experienced, more veteran quarterback too in Matt Stafford. If they came out the exact same time, and then would he have done the exact same thing with the Rams if Jared Goff came here and Matt Stafford was there? I don't know.
He went through like 3 different coaches, I think, during his time in Detroit. Right, 3 total.
Yeah. He got hurt too, right? Matt Stafford got hurt. Remember, we were concerned about his shoulder.
He was hurt for a while.
Yeah. So I think it's a great question. I mean, I love Matt Stafford, and I think Matt Stafford's a great quarterback. I like Jared Goff.
Was there a coach before Schwartz that Stafford had, or was it Schwartz, Caldwell, then Patricia? Or
I think Schwartz was his first.
Schwartz was his first.
Schwartz Caldwell, and then Patricia, I think.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Who
because what
before that?
was it
Wasn't
before
Rob
Schwartz? Before
Marinelli?
Schwartz, it was
Rod Marinelli.
Yeah, Rod Marinelli.
Rod Marinelli.
Mr. Owens 16, yeah.
Over.
Yeah.
Rod Marinelli. So, yeah, Eminem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Markovsky, by the way, mentioned Matovsky, apologize. Ibrahimovic not winning at UCL.
Not winning a.
Yeah,
Oh, he's never won one.
that's what it says.
No way. He had to have won one. I mean, he's played for 10 million different teams. He's never won one.
There you go.
Wow. So he played with United, Barcelona, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Ajax, PSG, and he's never won one? And Juventus. Wow.
My dude was a journeyman. God damn.
I
He
just
was
don't
all
think
over the place.
I just don't think people want to put up with Zlatan for more than like 3 years at a time.
And it's funny how when they did people I watched
probably
Ted
it.
Lasso, they had a character come in.
Oh,
who was
Zava? Yeah, that's exactly like Zlatan. It's literally who it was. And then he just like randomly retires in the middle of the show.
Yep.
Like that was just crazy. Yeah, that's right. That is right. What about Manchester City's 119 FFP charges? That's got to be. Mekchek says Zlatan is locker room poison. You're right. What about Man City's 119 FFP charges, financial fair play charges that like will never be solved ever again?
They had 115, right?
And then it became 119.
Okay.
So 119, and then all of a sudden it's like never there again. Like they're never going to come out with it. It's like the Epstein list. They're just never going to show it again. They're just never going to show it to the public.
Well, again, I don't know. I didn't spend too much time paying attention to this whole thing when it came out, but nor did I pay attention to the Epstein quote unquote list either. So, I made a point to stop watching the news about 6 years ago because it was just causing me too much stress. So, do you guys watch the news at all?
I follow a TikTok page actually that's just dedicated to good news.
Oh,
Which I think is
John
really
Krasinski?
refreshing.
He's back?
Cool.
He's back with some good
John
news?
Krasinski.
well, it all
Isn't that
started
the guy
with
who's
John
on The
Krasinski.
Office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, during COVID, he would make like YouTube videos.
The Good News Network or something like that.
Yeah, it was called Some
I
Good
didn't
News.
know that. Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, he came
Good
out
on
with
him,
one
man.
episode every single week, and then it was like for like 5 weeks, and then he sold it for like $1 million,
Yeah.
and then we never heard
The
from
only
it
time
again.
only time I watch the news is when you're on the elliptical at Planet Fitness. They got like Fox News right in your face. That's the only thing you're looking at the entire time. So you just, you're just like reading the
watch
captions
Fox
as they
News.
scroll by.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nathan Wanger,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's in my face. I have no choice. It's right there.
Now, if you said MSNBC, my guy, I'd be like, whoo, you know.
Moving on. Moving on.
Oh boy, this is not a political.
Move the ball forward.
Mac Jack says, how are we feeling for the MLS playoffs?
I said that. I'm asking. I'm waiting for his response.
I thought that was him asking.
No, I
apologize.
said Mekchek. How are we feeling for
well.
that? Because I think Minnesota is in the. They advanced to the next round. I think
They
they're down,
did.
like-
They beat Seattle.
yeah, they were down 4-2, and they won.
Both goalkeepers they got to the last kick, and both goalkeepers had to take a kick, and the goalkeeper for Minnesota put his in, and the goalkeeper for Seattle missed. Rang it off the
says-
crossbar.
He says, so far, so stressful, but we advance. Yeah, survive and advance at this point. Speaking of the MLS, unless you guys want to comment on it.
Sure.
Speaking of the MLS, there could be an MLS star that could be playing for the U.S. at the age of 30.
Oh.
And this is coming from the Columbus Crew. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Mukhtar of the Columbus Crew is
Probably Hanny.
Hanny Mukhtar. Okay, that's the
Or Hani, like the Hanis here in Metro Detroit, right? The
those are
national
good. Those are
Hani.
really good, by the way. Those are really good. But anyway, Hani Mukhtar is close to receiving his U.S. citizenship. When asked if he wanted to play for the U.S. men's national team, he said, "We are working on that." Mukhtar has scored 17 goals and 8 assists during this past season. He is currently 30 and is from Germany. I almost said Jersey. He's from Germany. Do you want to see him in a USA jersey at some point? It's another forward. And I don't know, just a little thing that could happen.
I mean, the answer is if he makes us a better team, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we wanna win. And so if you're telling me that Mukhtar can lead us to the promised land and get us closer to the promised land, absolutely. You know, I mean, but if he's not going to make us better, then no. So.
I mean, I think that he could. I think he can make an immediate impact. I mean, if he's a part of the U.S. men's national team at some point, you know, I mean, you think about someone who led all of MLS, you know, had 54 goals, from 2021 to 2023. He's had a very good career, especially in the MLS. Now, obviously, we know how certain people feel about Major League Soccer, but he's considered one of the league's best players and has been for a long time with Nashville SC. And I think he won the Golden Boot in 22, didn't he? I think 2022 is when he won the Golden Boot. So he's had a very impressive career, and obviously he's done a lot in Major League Soccer. So I think he's just another option. I think to JT's point, he's someone that could make us better. If that's something that obviously Mauricio Pochettino wants to try out, then by all means. I mean, with him being 30, like, is he a long-term option for the U.S. men's national team? No, probably not. But, you know, the old FC 25 rating gives him a 79. So, you know, he's right up there. Not that means anything. When I use ratings,
he's right up there in terms of our striking options.
It's just, again, when we talk about success in the MLS, and while success in the MLS is great, does that same success translate on the international stage? You know, and that's the thing, right? It's hard to tell, right? To be fair, I mean, again, we've seen Luna, and Luna's had success, but if you measure it in metrics, if you start looking at it statistically, you know, the things that Luna brings to the table for us are the intangibles that we love as Americans to see players just go out there and just run through people, right? And that energy, and that might lead to a goal here or there. But would what Mukhtar does in the MLS, would that translate on an international stage against the likes of Argentina, England, and whoever else? And I don't know if he's played internationally for Germany. The last time he did that was back in 2017 at the U21s. Where he had 3 appearances and had no goals. In 2014 to 16, and in the U20s, had 15 appearances. He had 7 goals. 2014, Germany U19s, he had 9 goals in 16 appearances. And so, you know, can he score in those environments? It seems like he can, but, you know, lately he hasn't done anything. And so, and again, if Germany is one of those things too, right? That's one of the top nations in the world.
They don't want an MLS guy,
you know, and so, but the last time he played was in across the pond was 2017 to 2020. He played for, was it Brøndby? He had 77 appearances, 18 goals in his 3 years on that side. He was loaned out. So I don't know how he would do, but it would have to be one of those things where we'd have to kind of wait and see. All right. It's a great question, though.
Yeah. What else wants to be talked about?
Well, let's do this. Let's take a break. We haven't taken a break in a minute. We'll come back here. 187 continues here on this Tuesday morning on Inside the Game.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs.
From high-quality production to exceptional coverage,
We ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today.
call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast.
And let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game on this Tuesday morning, Veterans Day Tuesday. Nathan Wengler, Jonathan Turner, Ryan Galinsky here on this Tuesday. We were just talking about this, Hani Mukhtar, and thinking about this and thinking about the current roster and thinking about his current position. Who would he potentially replace? If we were to say that this roster was locked, 26 players. He plays an attacking midfield. He plays a 10, right? That's where he plays on the field. Who would he replace on that roster? And the only person right now that makes any sense, if Diego Luna were on this roster, it'd be him. Right now, just based on all the things that we know, Luna would be the player. I mean, and again, there's other players that you could argue, but again, the thing about the role, right? The role, it'd be Luna. They both play in that same league, right? And so I would argue that based on statistics and based on positioning and based on creativity, that Mukhtar would replace Luna. Just based on skill, not the intangibles.
Yeah, and ESPN kind of came out. It's interesting you say that. ESPN recently came out with a list of they took each and every single position on the field for the U.S. men's national team and ranked all of them. And so, obviously with Mukhtar being a midfielder, they went through and they ranked everybody and where they all fit and where they all rank. And just looking at this list, do you know, Ryan, does he play more of a central midfield or is he like a defensive midfielder? Do we know?
Mukhtar?
Like
he's an attacking midfielder.
He's an attacking center mid. He's a 10.
Attacking center mid? Okay. Yeah, so, just looking at this list, I do think he could replace Gio. I don't think we would have any issues with that. I think Gio Reyna, as we talked about, like this is kind of his last chance, the November window. If anybody, and we talked about that with Gio, if he were to replace anybody, it would probably be Diego Luna. Jack McGlynn, I don't know, is he better than him? I think Malik Tillman, Yunus Musa, Weston McKennie, I think all those players, I wouldn't get rid of any of those three. Tyler Adams, I wouldn't get rid of him. But everybody else on that list in terms of, American-born players, I mean, Brendan Aronson, he's shown flashes. Does he provide as much depth and experience as someone like Mukhtar? Probably not. Quinn Sullivan, Luca de Torre, Sebastian Berhalter, as we've talked about, then maybe someone that could take his spot, but I don't think U.S. Soccer would allow for that. I don't think they would allow for some outsider, a German, to come in to replace one of their own in Sebastian Berhalter. Paxton Aronson, Brian Gutierrez. There's a lot of who's on this list. So I definitely think he could replace one of them, but what does that provide you if he becomes naturalized and now we just kind of insert him into this process? Like, is it too late? Are we too far down the line? Because we had this conversation the other day when it came to Mauricio Pochettino and understanding like what his core is. And at this point, he should understand what his core is. Like at this point, there's no excuse for like, I don't know who my starting 11 is. You should absolutely know who your starting 11 is. So if anything, I don't think he would be a starter. I think he would be more of a complementary piece if the U.S. men's national team were to find a way to put him in there. But like I said, there are a few names on that list I would replace. But I do think, at least from, again, a talent perspective, I think he would slot in perfectly. Now, would he want to play for the U.S. men's national team? I don't know. That's a different conversation. But I don't know if Mauricio Pochettino is willing to mess around with actually inserting him into that core of players that he knows he's going to have for the 26 World Cup. Now, the remaining numbers on that list that you talked about, that's a little bit of a different story. But the main core, I think that's probably set.
Yeah, I think that the only reason why Mukhtar at this point would become naturalized in this right now would be for a chance to play at this point in his career for the U.S. men's national team, because he knows he's got no hope playing for Germany. He has hope playing for U.S., and that goes to show you again, kind of like where we are again in the world, right? So, but again, do I think that Mukhtar would be a starter? No. Do I think that he would replace Aronson? Definitely not. But do I think that Reyna? Yeah. If you're looking at this from the pure standpoint of coaching,
Gio
and thinking about what you're trying to accomplish this cycle, do I think that a Mukhtar would be better than a Reyna? Probably, because You're going to have experience. You're going to the immaturity that we've seen in the past, and I think still have some with Gio Reyna. I think that would probably negate that. It also probably a safer pick too, to be fair, just based on the circumstances. And then you can still prepare Gio Reyna for the future without putting him in this mixing bowl of what could become a mess. And so. I think that would be a great way to do that. So, again, if it's coming down to a player like Luna, who arguably right now is probably in the 20, he's not in the 18. I don't think Luna's in the 18. If you were to tell me right now,
he's one of the French
26, players
with Reno.
He's in that like that 19, 20, 21 on the roster just based on how he's playing. I would argue that's where Mukhtar would replace a Luna or a
But
Reno.
also think about this: like, how many savvy vets does the U.S. men's national team have? Like, how many players?
They got rid of them all.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It's just Tim Ream at this point that I could think of, but they got rid of them all.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's only Tim Ream, and people are still asking questions like, "Why are we calling up Tim Ream? Like, why is he a part of this?" My man's 38 years old. Like, I understand he's still competing, but I still think it's important to have those pieces. I still think it's important to have those players. I think of someone like a Hassan Whiteside for the Miami Heat.
That was never came off today.
Never came off the bench, but
they all have a World Cup under the belt, though. I will say that
when you talk about a center back, center backs are treated completely differently, especially now than when I was growing up. But he's a center back. Right. And so, right center back and someone who's been in World Cups before. I mean, that experience, you can't underestimate that at all. I mean, you're right back, left backs. That could be interchangeable.
It's valuable, though. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely, it's valuable.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When Mukhtar's 30, he's played internationally with Germany. Like he's been on that level.
You can't. I don't know if you can put Tim Ream's experience in actual World Cups compared to what Mukhtar has in the MLS and in youth. I don't think you can compare a youth World Cup or youth environment.
Probably
to use whatever
probably a little bit harder to make the German national team than it is the U.S.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I'm not dismissing that, but Tim Ream's experience. He's been to 3 World Cups, 4 World Cups.
He's probably been to 1.
Wait, Tim Ream?
Yeah, because they didn't qualify in 2018.
They didn't qualify in 18,
and
so
I
22.
don't think he's only been to 1.
I thought he's been at least more.
I don't think he was on 2014.
He's 38, right? So
maybe.
did he play
Tim
in
Ream's
14?
38? There's no way he's 38.
Yeah, he's 38.
Yeah, he's 38. 1987 is when he was born. I want to say he had to, again. When did he play in this first World Cup?
Let me see what we.
That's great. Again, I don't think
maybe he
about Tim
was
Ream a lot.
He was.
What?
He was in 20. Oh wait, no, that's 2020. Hold on. That's
so definitely 22. So the question becomes: was he 2014? That would be the question.
I don't think he was though, because I'm trying to think. John Brooks was on.
What?
I think I'm looking at it right now. I don't think
no, because back then there was what? Jeff Cameron. There was Omar Gonzalez. John Brooks, of course, scored that goal. Yeah, no, he was not on that one. So he's only been to 1 World Cup, and to Nate's point, he does have a point, but at the same time, you could make. I think that carries a little bit more weight if this was 2022 or 2021, whatever you want to say. But I will say at this point, though, I think them having that World Cup under that belt and then playing in Champions League games and playing in MLS playoff games and all that fun stuff, I don't think that the savvy veteran, quote unquote, plays that much into a factor. But I think if you said this in 2022, it definitely plays a little bit of a factor. But I mean, Pulisic's won a World Cup. They've all been, or not World Cup, excuse me, a Champions League. They've won leagues. They've won Champions Leagues. They've been in those high pressure situations. But no, I would definitely say we don't have that 30-plus-year-old veteran that, a lot of championship teams kind of have in whatever sport that is.
I would still argue that the one appearance that Tim Ream had is more valuable than a youth appearance or a U20 World Cup appearance that maybe Mukhtar had, right? But again, they play different positions, so I don't know if it would be an argument. But again, in other scenarios, right, who's the other player, right, that would fit into the equation, right? Gio Reyna, you could argue, he's got experience being at a World Cup. He does. He didn't play in it. He was there training, right, and on that team. Could you argue that experience is more valuable than that of playing in and a youth, maybe. Again, having a player like Tim Ream, having players in those back lines, it's the reason why Beasley was on the World Cup teams for as many years as he was, right? Because of his, he wasn't the best defender out there, but what he brought in experience made you feel comfortable as a head coach to have him on the field when it was an important moment.
Yeah, like going back to 2022, Yedlin was the only player, DeAndre Yedlin, to play in a World Cup game up to that point. They had, let's see, this tied the 1990 World Cup with the most U23 players. So it was a very young team in 2022, and they had, like, the average year was 25 years old. That's like one of the youngest in the tournament. And so, that was, I would definitely say that we don't have that savvy veteran yet, but at the same time, these players that we currently have that are 25, 26, 27 have all been kind of groomed into the savvy veteran role like 3 or 4 years ahead of schedule just because of how many times that they played. So
and again, I when I look at it from the standpoint of experience, and Tim Ream has made plenty of mistakes in his career. We've seen it in real time where he passes the ball to their team and and gives up goals. Right, that's the thing for the United States that does them in is they have no problem hanging on to the ball. They have no problem moving the ball around. The problem for them is their self-inflicted wounds. They'll build up and then they'll get everyone forward and then they'll get the ball away and then 13 seconds later there's a goal and we're having a kickoff. And so that's how quickly things can happen and explode, so to speak, or implode for the U.S. men's national team. The same thing isn't true for other teams around the world, especially the ones that are ranked higher and have had more success. I mean, Argentina might make a mistake, but they're not going to let someone throw it down their throat, like as quickly as we see it happen in the U.S. men's national team land. So we just need players to go out there and not make stupid mistakes and stupid errors. You need to go out there and play soccer the way it's meant to be played, do it with speed of play, but don't make these errors that just cost you soccer games. And that's something that we tend to do a lot of here. With self-inflicted wounds need to go away. Again, Mekjek did ask a question, by the way, in the comment. He goes, talking about Mukhtar, he did play in the U21s. Does that matter at 30? It does not matter.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, experience is experience, and you can bring any experience you want. But the thing is this: players are smart. They can read through a coach who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, and players can also read into situations where a player coming in with experience or no experience, they might not feel very good about it. I mean, again, if you're talking about Pulisic and Aronson and Adams and all these players who play across the pond come into a room with all their other counterparts, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you play for who? Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Well, you go take a seat over there." That's a thing that happens, and it's not meant to be, I guess, disingenuous to the level that they play. But it's one of those things where players are playing at a higher level can oftentimes, they know that they're playing at that higher level, and it can create, I think, animosity. And so, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I'm curious to see if he gets naturalized here soon enough, and if he does, how will that play out, for this roster? But it's a good conversation nonetheless. Ryan, it's time for what?
Question of the day, which, speaking of World Cups, by the way, the U.S. U17 World Cup, they're currently playing right now against Czech Republic. It's the 13th minute, 0-0 as we speak. But the U.S., if they tie or win this game, they will top their group. But let's get into question of the day. Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of NSN here. Use promo code NSN15. Save 15% off or visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code because everybody loves QR codes. Question of the day. Is anyone on this show going to any U.S. men's national team games next week?
No, I'm not. No, I will not be in attendance. How about you, JT?
Sorry, I'm flexing. Sorry, I am going to the U.S. men's national team next Tuesday. So that is correct. I am. I will be there. I have a business trip in Florida here Monday through Wednesday of next week, and I have been invited to attend the U.S. men's national team against I think it's against Uruguay.
Yes.
Yeah. So on Tuesday. Yep. So I'll be.
Mekjek said no, he's not going to any.
It was funny. I was just telling this to someone yesterday. I'm like, I had not been to one U.S. men's national team in my life up until a month and a half ago, and I'll have my second one in less than 2 months. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited.
Ain't that funny? Ain't that funny how that happens? And Uruguay too is really good. What 15th ranked team in the world? So I don't know who they're going to be missing on the roster, but that'll be a great environment to be a part of for sure.
Maybe you'll get a chance to see Suarez get suspended again. I highly doubt he plays for them anymore, but who knows? Wait. That game is played in Tampa. Suarez plays in Miami. Maybe. There's a chance. There's a chance he could maybe be on that roster.
There's a
Just
chance. You're saying there's a chance.
I mean, how far is Tampa, Miami from each other?
I think it's like 5 hours.
He can make it.
That's a helicopter ride, Helicopter over, I mean, he's got the money.
4 hours.
Yeah,
4 hours, 8
that's
minutes.
like a 30-minute helicopter ride. He might not have the money of all the fines he's paid, but I mean, he can absolutely, fly over there in a helicopter. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to do this. I got some business meetings in Florida here next week, and I had a chance to be invited. So, which is
what time will you be waking up for those, by the way?
For what?
For those business meetings, probably early.
So I fly out. I'm supposed to fly out Monday. Early, so I will probably not be on the show on Monday. I will be in, obviously, Tampa at the hotel on Tuesday, so I should be here for the show on Tuesday. And depending upon what time my flight leaves on Wednesday, I might be able to make the show on Wednesday. We'll, geez, Pete, this keeps coming. But yeah. So we'll have to wait and see how it all shakes up. But yeah, so there you go.
Okay.
But
that's a fun show, though. Fun show.
It was. That'll wrap up number 187 here today on Inside the Game. Don't forget to subscribe, like us, share this with your friends and family. Don't forget to come back each and every day as we continue to get closer and closer to episode number 200, which is now officially 12 shows away. It's hard to think, man. We've gone through 187 shows.
It's nuts. Yeah, it's wild. It's been a fun
ride. I think I was only here for like 30 of them.
I don't know how many it's been, but I will say this, is that I did have Bianca go back and check to make sure that we are actually at 187, and we are. So, because sometimes, maybe the math, so we double check.
Had her count out every last one of them?
By the way, we have officially been syndicated, by the way, as well. So there you go.
Let's go.
Reruns coming up here on Comedy Central. Anyways, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Again, we honor veterans here today on Veterans Day. We thank you for your service. We salute you on our way out here of Inside the Game number 187. Enjoy your day. You've absolutely deserved it. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.